Hi, my name is James Hunter, and this is my 2 Cents channel where I talk about topics from mental health, physical fitness, and wellness, and basically topics that I might be interested in. And today I'm going to talk about the topic about resistance training, weight training if you will, and the positive benefits it has for as an intervention or for preventatively for osteoporosis and osteopenia. So I took a bunch of notes up here on my board that I'll be using, and I'm also going to cite some references in the description below, just so you can kind of look up where I get some of my information. And there's a lot of information out there. There's a CDC, Center for Disease Control, and there's also various publications through journals like the NSCA and so on. There's a lot, you get the idea. So I want to kind of go into some terms for osteoporosis or osteopenia for some of y'all who may not be familiar, and some of you, if you clicked on this video, you are very familiar because you've maybe had an interest that led you to this video. So let's go over some terms real quick using my notes up here. So osteoporosis is a common condition that can affect both men and women, typically or usually after the 4th decade of life, or basically after the age of 40. I'm 48, and I actually participated in a study at my local university where I live, where I used a DEXA scan, state-of-the-art type of technology, where they basically got my bone mineral density, and I'll talk about that later in the study. It was good, by the way, for any age, much less how old I was at the time. They were looking at people who have a history of basically lifting weights or resistance type of training. So let's look at some of the information that's out there. Typically doctors or physicians, they're going to advise patients with osteoporosis to exercise, but a lot of times it's not real clear on what type of exercises. They'll just say go work out, right? And let's be honest, nothing against doctors. Some of them are actually very good. They lift weights and they have the practical experience, so they know. But that's not every doctor. Some of these doctors never touched a weight in their life, and so they don't really have that experience. They'll just go say exercise and not be very specific. So when we look at the population as far as men and women, specific to women, post-menopause women, because of changes in estrogen, they can be at a greater risk for decrease in bone mineral density. So what we know is that with resistance training, basically resistance training, if you want to think of what that is, it's moving your body basically, or a weight or something other that has resistance against gravity. So osteoporosis, by the way, it's a slow process where the bone breakdown exceeds bone growth, and this happens over time. So traditionally, I've had clients, that I've trained before that had this condition, and what you typically see the interventions being are they're often treated by pharmacologic therapy, complementary, and alternative medications, and yeah, they'll say exercise. So overall, basically the goal is to maintain adequate levels of calcium, promote bone growth, and reduce bone breakdown. So let's go ahead and look at some more of my notes up here. So the adult skeleton undergoes a continued process of breakdown, basically reabsorption and bone formulation. And calcium is constantly being added by osteoblasts and removed by osteoclasts. And this process of reabsorption and remodeling must remain in balance to avoid bone loss. Now we're going to see where weight training is actually come into play as part of affecting this balance. It's important. So, it's known, for quite a while as far as how exercise or weight-bearing exercises are important. It's nothing new. When I did that study 8 years ago, where I participated as a test subject, 8 years ago, this study was not like groundbreaking, like something they didn't know. They were just kind of doing a confirmation study based on previous literature and studies that have been done. So we know that exercise plays an important role, and I'm going to get more specific. Well, what kind of exercises, right? Because that matters. You don't want to waste your time. So osteoporosis, anaerobic and aerobic exercises have been shown to be effective, and we're going to talk about degrees of effective methods for improving bone mineral density and reducing bone loss. So Wolff's Law states that human and animal bone adapts to new or unusual stress by altering the bone architecture. Bone tissue will adjust by increasing osteoblasts formation in the areas affected by mechanical stress. Conversely, with a lack of mechanical stress, the bone will progressively weaken, and because resorption is exceeding bone growth, you're going to have a decrease in bone mineral density. So basically, to put it simply, is that we require some type of stimulation, in order for the body to make adaptations. When you look at resistance training, you look at neuromuscular adaptations from resistance training and aerobic training. So an example I like to talk about is for those of you who are familiar with the space program. I'm 48, not quite as old as some of you who may be watching this video, but I've seen footage on TV. In the early stages of the space program, they didn't know, or maybe it's not so much they didn't know, but they didn't apply what they knew about bone mineral density loss and also atrophy of muscle. So these astronauts in the early stages, when they first came back down to Earth, after having spent some time in zero gravity, basically no resistance, no stimulation to the body, they came back down to Earth in the capsule. You see them coming out, they needed help. They had to have assistance with walking, they're weaker, and there's a reason for this. In zero gravity, you don't have any type of mechanical stress on the body. So without the mechanical stress, there's not that demand there for the adaptations. You're going to see a loss not just in bone mineral density, but in muscle. So they know this now. So when astronauts are in any type of extended time in space, they try to provide ways for them to do resistance training. They'll drink protein shakes or high protein type of supplements in order to preserve lean muscle mass and to prevent or minimize bone mineral density loss. So exercise can provide the minimal essential strain or mechanical stress required for human bone formulation. So let's talk about aerobic versus resistance training. I know people who say, well, I go running and I go jogging, so that's good enough, right? Well, not necessarily, because the evidence suggests that walking and running alone does not really have it has few benefits for increasing bone mineral density. So resistance training is more potent, if you will. It's going to have more of an effect. So let's look at some terms here just so we understand, because we hear things like weight-bearing exercises. And we think, well, if I'm doing weight-bearing exercises, according to the National Osteoporosis Foundation, the weight-bearing exercises include activities that make one move against gravity while staying upright. And these exercises can be high impact, like jumping, or low impact, like walking. And I'm going to talk about high impact versus low impact, because it does make a difference as far as getting the most type of mechanical stress to produce adaptations to your bones. So walking is, it's nothing against walking, it's great, but you can do a lot better than that. It's not going to be as effective. So when we look at the positive effects of resistance training, they've been found especially to be effective as far as the femoral neck, the lumbar spine, and the distal radius. Moreover, resistance training improves muscular strength that may decrease the risk of falls in older adults. So when we look at these terms up here and how you can think about interventions for osteoporosis, osteopenia, it really boils down to having a balance of sufficient stimulation upon the body. It goes both ways. So if you have insufficient stimulation, you're sedentary, you sit down at work a lot, in a chair all day. We can talk about nutrition too, calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, which is actually a hormone. And these that part of the equation, which is important as far as optimizing your bone health and bone mineral density. So you look at these situations, so it is a balance. You can't just, you don't want extremes, you don't want to overdo it, because there is something to be said about that. Too much mechanical stress on the body can potentially put you in a situation for injuries. But definitely being sedentary on the other end, having that mindset, well, I don't want to overdo it. You can use that excuse, but if you're sedentary, make no mistake, after age 40, you're going to see exponentially, especially if you don't do anything, exponentially a decrease, not just osteopenia, but sarcopenia, loss of muscle mass. It's going to happen if you don't intervene and get a plan or a program. So when we look at the literature, and again, I'll put some references in my description, is that if you're someone who's sedentary, no, it's not like you can just start doing high impact stuff, things that might be more optimal. But what you can do is start building a foundation. Start doing some compound multi-joint movements. You know, a leg press. Learn to do the squat. You know, bench press. Start doing your planks. Start doing some things that you know, have an extension of the lumbar spine area, as far as like hip thrust and so on, pelvic thrust, if you will. Do some things to start strengthening the body, get some conditioning as far as being used to various movements with weight training. And the neuromuscular adaptations, you'll get the coordination. The neuromuscular adaptations are going to account for a significant gain in strength in the beginning just from that alone, and then after a while it'll stabilize, and your subsequent strength gains will be more about just, you know, increasing muscle size and the conditioning of your muscle. So once you have a foundation for the beginner, then as appropriate, when you're ready to, yeah, you can start doing some more high impact things that are more rapid in nature. You know, doing an aggressive, you know, plyometric box jump. You know, something perhaps like on the bench press. You know, you might see people go nice and slow and steady, and that's fine. There's, you know, those people talk about time under tension. You'll see them with the dumbbells, real slow eccentrically on the way down, and real slow and controlled on the way up. Full contraction, squeeze the muscle, all that stuff. That's great, that's fine, that's going to be a benefit. But the literature will show you, the studies that I've looked at, it's the more rapid movements. The more rapid movements are going to create more mechanical stress. Those higher impact type movements that create, you know, a greater degree of mechanical stress are going to create a situation where you're producing that stress that's going to be create more of an adaptation in the muscle to get it to have the, you know, you're going to have more bone mineral density. Up here, using the terms, let me see, the osteoblasts, constantly being added, the osteoblasts, it's going to stimulate the body to want to create and build up more bone because of that stimulation. Now that's something you can do. You know, you can modify that with your physical activity. That's a good thing. The body adapts to stress. You know, the human body is amazing. So by doing these higher impact movements, you're going to get a greater outcome, if you will, as far as the goal, if it's being to have greater bone mineral density. Now granted, like I said, if you haven't been working out, no, you're not going to start off with high impact type movements. You need to have graduated levels of exercises to get you in a position to do that. If you're somebody who's middle-aged and you've already been working out, but maybe you don't do more rapid type movements, then you can start incorporating that, okay? It's like preventatively. So when we look at this balance, if you will, there's something to be said about hormones. Women, you know, they don't produce estrogen as much, so, you know, they have hormone replacement therapy. And there's actually a study, I can actually read some of it here in a little bit, that looks at different populations when you're looking at hormones, the physical activity, and so on, and how that all, you know, plays in the balance as far as how this affects people. I did have 2 clients that were in their 70s, and they were being treated for osteopenia or osteoporosis, the earlier stages of it, and I think they were being given a pharmacologic therapy. I think it was Boniva. It was a medication you take, that pill once a month, if you will. So they started working out with me, and I did foundationally some basic things to build a foundation with them as far as strengthening systemically the core, if you want to use that term, and then, you know, compound multi-joint movements, and then graduating to a bit more advanced things over a period of time. What they found is that when they were, you know, given diagnostics, is that they saw an improvement in bone mineral density. You know, you can say, was it the medication? Well, we're going to talk about that here in a little bit as far as a study that I'm going to refer to. So my experience with this, as far as, you know, you can say anecdotal or whatever, you know, there's people I've known that have been on pharmacologic therapy and then were able to start working out, and they saw a greater outcome versus just using pharmacologic therapy. I've known people that did not take any medication, started working out, and they did see an improvement, not just in the bone mineral density, but also just, you know, increase in lean muscle mass, which is a protective factor because that strength, you know, is going to decrease likelihood for falling down and getting hurt. And this is in your older population. So overall, you know, the goal is to maintain, you know, our calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, the hormone, if you will, have, you know, sufficient levels of that. The stimulation required, you know, in the body, exercise. Nobody's going to live forever. You know, I get that and you get that. So what is the point of all this? You know, we're not going to live forever. Nobody's just going to keep going on and on and on. But there is something to be said about quality of life and remaining as independent for as long as possible. And your quality of life in your older years, I don't like the word elderly because it implies something that's, you know, it's absolute. You can be 75, but not, qualitatively speaking, or even quantitatively speaking, be elderly by comparison to the general population. You can be 75, and by measures of qualitative and quantitative standards, as compared to people 20 years younger, you can be comparable to them. So based on that, you're not necessarily elderly in terms of your ability to function physically, have independence, and, you know, basically live your life. So that rapid execution, as far as the movements, I was talking about the high impact, something to consider. It may not be appropriate for everybody if you have orthopedic problems and so on. So you're going to kind of find a balance that's going to work for you. So there's a lot of information, a lot of things that can be said about exercise interventions for individuals with osteoporosis or osteopenia, for helping to either, you know, improve the situation or to prevent it. So these are some information that I've provided today. So if you have any thoughts about this, your own personal experience, you want to leave in the comments below, go ahead and do so. What I try to do is just put together some information, just base a combination of my experience plus some of the literature that I read and stay on top of. And so if you know, have any thoughts on this, that maybe your experience is that you saw improvement from working out, you're an older person, and you can, you know, this validates your personal experience, I'd be glad to hear from you below. If you're someone who maybe this video is getting you thinking, you haven't started working out, maybe you have some anxiety, you're scared, you don't know how to start, leave a comment below. Because I will say this, you know, there is something to be said about starting early in life. It does have a protective factor if you have that foundation from childhood leading up into adulthood. But that being said, it's not too late to still derive a benefit. You can start later in life and still get benefits from resistance training, exercise, you know, eating healthier, if you will, and so on. So, you know, osteoporosis is something that's fairly common. You know, it's a slow process typically, unless you have other situations going on where bone breakdown is going to exceed the bone growth. And overall, you know, it's kind of a individual situation, meaning we're not a one-size-fits-all. No, not everybody may be able to do deadlifts, for example, if you're someone who's, you know, has some orthopedic limitations. But there's other type of movements or exercises you can do to improve your body, and specific, you know, to the femoral neck, the lumbar spine, distal radius, you know, areas of the body that you really need to be intact to function. You know, that's why it's important to consider what exercises you should be doing. You're going to have to start somewhere, but you know, if you're just doing machines for like a shoulder press, and you're just doing some curls, and that's all you're doing, you think you're getting it, well, you might want to consider, you know, more of the compound multi-joint movements where you're, you know, flexion at the hips, bearing weight throughout all of your body in a manner that's appropriate for you. You're going to get a better benefit. So I'm going to go ahead and just wrap this video up for today. There's a lot that can be said. I'll probably do a part 2 of this video. I just wanted to kind of get this started to get people to think that, you know, age is a developmental process over time. You know, we're kind of born into this world when we have things that change as we get older. Happens to all of us, but there's not, you know, an absolute that we all have to just surrender to getting older and having, you know, thinking, well, if you get older, you get weak. You know, it's just the way it is. That's not true. You can still stay strong as you age. You can still have a quality life as you age, and you can certainly put off or prolong a lot of things that can happen if you neglect your self-care and your personal health. So if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. Like the video if you felt this, you know, was helpful or got you to think about your situation. If you have any comments below as far as, you know, a video you'd like me to maybe make it, you know, present about as far as a particular subject, I'm open to that as well. So until I make another video, I hope you have a good day and take care.